Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year from the JEB and Flow podcast and the street parking community, street parking team. This week, we are going to talk about the dreaded New Year's resolution and maybe some different approaches we can take to maintain more longevity with our habits, our behaviors, our beliefs throughout the year. The last thing we want you to do is fizzle out after January, which so many people do. And I've got some great techniques to work on the attitudes, the beliefs that are going to affect your behaviors, allow you to take continuous action throughout the year and not lose steam 2 months in. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to JEB and Flow here on the Street Parking Podcast channel. What a day. What a weekend. What an episode. New Year's. It's a big time in the health and fitness world. And I realize that there's probably a lot of new people coming into the street parking community around this time. So I want to welcome anybody that's new, anybody that's been around for a little while and maybe just discovering the podcast. And like we've been doing for a while, I'd like to start off each episode with a couple of deep breaths. So wherever you are, if you can, close your eyes, but either way, sit up straight, tall spine, take a deep breath in, fill your belly full of air, and slowly let it out. And do that one more time, even bigger, fuller, deeper breath. Hold it at the top. Take another little sip of air in. Even slower on the exhale. Blink your eyes open. And here we are. I love to do that. For me, it helps me get present, it helps me get centered, it helps me get into my body and into the moment. And that's a tool that I use a lot. So it's a tool that I encourage you to use whenever you might feel a little bit scattered or distracted or nervous or restless or anything that takes you outside of yourself. And that sort of ties into what I wanted to talk about on today's episode. But let's first just address the fact that it is a new year. 2020 is behind us. What a year that was. Wow. I'll have to go back and listen to the New Year's episode from last year. But I think I went into this year like a lot of us. I mean, just the numbers 2020, we all had really high hopes, high expectations. This year is going to be amazing. And it was amazing. I mean, it was pretty impressive, to be honest. The level of stuff that got thrown at us through this year, it was like, reminded me of a time almost the last time that I ever surfed. I did get back in the water after this happened, but pretty much ended my surfing career. But it's anybody that does surf, they know about the washing machine, where I had no business being out there in the water on this day. I'm not a good surfer. I got peer pressured by my friends, and this giant wave crashed down on me, fell off the surfboard, got pinned under the water, and it kind of like spins you around, spits you back out, and my head got up just out of the water just long enough for me to take a breath, look back, and see the next wave smashing down on me. And the same thing, got pinned under the water and get thrown all about and feel like you don't know where you are, you don't know which way is up, and didn't know when I was going to be able to come up for air. And then finally I come up for air, turn, look back, and another wave's coming down. And it was like 6 or 7 waves probably. It felt like 100, but probably 6 or 7 that that came crashing down on me like this. And every time I'd get out and I'd try and swim, but the current is pulling back and getting sucked up underneath the next wave. And so it's like you're swimming and throwing your arms out, but you're not actually going anywhere. And finally, I got out of it. Like the set ended, died out, and I got out of it and I got to shore and I just laid on the beach for like 20 minutes trying to catch my breath. I was so exhausted. And at the time, nobody had primed me for that, like being a possibility of something that could happen. So I thought that I was drowning. And some people do like that, but a lot of times it's like, if you just relax, eventually the set ends and you get spit out and you're okay. But I did the worst possible thing you could do was I tried to resist it and I tried to fight it and I tried to swim as hard as I could in the opposite direction. And thinking back about 2020, that's kind of what it felt like. It was like your head pops up and then all of a sudden another wave just comes crashing down. And whatever your views happen to be about all of the events that happened in 2020, I'm not here to take sides or tell you which side I'm on or which side you should be on or judge the side that you are on. I think for all of us, it was just like it was a hell of a year. And that might either do one of two things: give us the inspiration to set a really big time New Year's resolution for 2021, or it might just give us a case of the F-its, right? Where it's like, 2020 was such a wash, who cares, hopefully 2021 is not going to be as gnarly, but who knows? Either way, there's just so much that gets attached to the new year. And I know that we have a lot of new people coming into the community. A lot of people have very lofty goals for the new year, and those goals might even be bigger because of this year and everything that went on last year. And like I've said before, the mentality that I take and kind of the philosophy that we have here at Street Parking is, well, what if you had a lifestyle set up so that January 1 is just another day? It's not the day that everything changes. It's just another day. It's a continuation of this journey. And across this journey, you're developing new habits, and those habits take time to develop, and those habits they develop as a result of small little changes over time. And those changes come through action, right? They come through action and they come from your behavior. But how do we change behavior in a way that it sticks, that it's consistent? This podcast is very much about mindset, and it's about the mental and emotional elements of fitness and how those influence our fitness and our training. And mindset has always been something that's fascinated me. And I've done my own research, right? And so I've looked into these like self-help gurus, and I won't name names, but I've been to the Michael Jordan of self-help, right? I've been to like seminars from those guys, and they were awesome, to be honest with you. It's 3 days. It's incredible. It's life-changing. You feel so powerful. You feel you're in this arena with 10,000 other people and everybody's screaming and there's this loud music playing and you're just constantly up on your feet and you're dancing and then you're doing these really deep, crazy, emotional exercises, and you go through this very, very intense experience with a large group of people, and it's epic. And it's addictive, and people get hooked on that. And what happens is that you leave those things and you feel like you're going to just tackle the world and you're going to completely overhaul your life and you're going to change all of your bad habits and replace them with new habits. And then about a week goes by and that excitement starts to fizzle. And a couple weeks go by and you're not really sure how to hold on to that feeling, that inspiration, that deep motivation. You don't have 10,000 people around you at all times screaming and yelling and creating this collective power that juices you up and drives you and puts you on this higher plane of existence. You just can't live at that level all the time. At least we haven't figured out how to do that. But that's how that industry kind of works. So it fizzles out and then we go to the next one. And it's very similar to New Year's resolutions. We have the best intentions going into January, and we have this excitement, and we have these huge goals, and then it kind of fizzles out. And so if we're trying to change these behaviors, why don't they stick? Well, there's a few reasons that I've thought about. Number one is we try to change too many things too quickly. And the solution to that is to make smaller, more incremental changes. That's what we talk about a lot on here. Small changes over time, consistency over time, more than nothing. If you don't have time to work out for 2 hours every single day in the gym, which none of us do, and that's actually not probably the best way to work out and get the best results, what if you did 10 minutes every day? What if you committed to 10 minutes every day, and on some days you might be able to do more than that? But if it's a bare minimum that you're doing 10 minutes, how does that add up? What does that put in the bank over the course of 6 months or a year? And really, in terms of behavior is a result of attitude, and attitude is largely a result of beliefs. And so if the behavior is not sticking, what it means is that probably the attitude has not changed. And I was looking at a definition of attitude that I really liked. I'm going to read it to you. It says that attitude is a settled way of thinking or feeling about someone or something, typically one that is reflected in a person's behavior. My favorite word in that definition is settled. So we can have a great attitude for a short amount of time. We can have a great attitude for a month, for the month of January. But if that attitude doesn't settle and just become a default attitude, well, then it's not actually an attitude. It's a feeling. It's a temporary feeling. It's fleeting and it will go away. Now, no one's going to have a positive attitude every single second of every single day. But overall, we can trend towards more positivity in our attitude. And so our beliefs can affect our attitude. And the way we might affect our beliefs is through getting honest with ourselves and being open-minded to new possibilities, to new ways of approaching problems and challenges. And then following that up with action coming from attitude. So it's like this very circular thing. So that's a lot to unpack, and we won't get super deep into that, and we'll continue to talk more and more about attitudes and beliefs and how that affects behavior over time. But what I want you to think about for right now, for this week, is attitude. And specifically an attitude of taking ownership of your health and fitness. Your health and fitness is your responsibility. Take ownership of it. At the same time, you can practice non-attachment. And so what that means is that if things don't go your way, it's okay. That doesn't have to affect your attitude. the worst thing you could do is have a bad attitude about having a bad attitude. If you find that you're in a negative space and then you get mad and down on yourself because you're in a negative space, well, then that doesn't help anything at all. So what I want you to do this week, your action item for this week, is to just pay attention. Pay attention to your attitude and pay attention to what affects your attitude. Prime your attitude every day. So you can anchor it to something that you would do every morning, like brushing your teeth, right? If you brush your teeth every morning, which hopefully you do, while you're brushing your teeth, you say to yourself over and over and over again while you're brushing your teeth, I will pay attention to my attitude today. And just watch it. Just watch your attitude throughout the day. And when you find yourself maybe getting flustered or feeling unsettled or even feeling great, ask yourself, what is the attitude that I want right now? Pause throughout the day and ask yourself, what is the attitude that I want right now? And ask yourself, what is the attitude that I have right now? And if we consistently check in and ask, what is the attitude that I have right now? And what is the attitude that I want right now? Well, then we can start to bring those two things closer together so they're more in alignment. Because they're not always going to be the same thing. There might be some distance between the answers to those two questions. But if we know the answers to those two questions, then we can start to bring them closer and closer together. And when we do that, behavior changes. When behavior changes, our beliefs change, our attitude changes, then our behavior changes, and it keeps going and going and going, and it's this upward spiral, and it's wonderful. So that's enough for this week. Happy New Year. Let's crush it in 2021. The way that we're going to do that is by continuous little improvements over time. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.